Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunatu Sahaviryam Garvavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Deva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Yapiyat Sarvam, Trailokyam Sacharacharam, Tatpadam Darshitam Yena. Tasmai Shri Gurave Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. So, somebody was saying that so exciting to see the next class of Ramayana, to see what happens next. But I realized Ramchandraji has been born for more than a month and no story has progressed. So maybe today we will progress in the story, or maybe not. Let's see. But when Ramchandraji was born, in terms of the story, the celebrations that were happening in Ayodhya were elaborate. So what was really beautiful in those days, and I guess it's true even today in a different way, but even though Ramchandraji was born in the palace, the whole city celebrated. And yeah, I guess today also, right? Like when, if it's somebody we like as a population, whether it be a political figure or a celebrity, then everyone celebrates with them. If something bad happens, then everybody cries with them, right? So I remember when Princess Di had passed away, literally the whole world mourned. I mean, I wasn't alive for JFK, but apparently even that, all of America literally mourned. So Ramchandraji was that loved that he was celebrated, the birth was celebrated quite elaborately. And then lots of descriptions are given about how happy Dashrath Maharaj was, and then he takes out his pearl necklace and gives it to people. And that throughout the Ramayana, they had a lot of extra pearl necklaces because every time something good happened, they could pearl necklace and give it to someone. Devatas in the heaven constantly showering flowers. But there's one point that comes in the Ramayana which is really beautiful. It talks about when Ramchandraji was born, everybody wanted to see Ramchandraji. And the sun in the sky was so happy to see Ramchandraji that it stopped moving. And the sun actually stood still for one whole month. So obviously now that we know that the earth revolves around the sun, the description in the Ramayana that it says that the sun stopped moving and it stayed in the spot of Ayodhya so that it can continue to see Ramchandraji. We know scientifically that doesn't quite work because it's the earth that's rotating around the sun and on its axis also. So the idea is that the sun stood still, meaning that there was light, and it says for one whole month. And so I was thinking, so this is one of the things when you're studying the scriptures. In Ramayana and Mahabharata, And actually, even in the Upanishads, a lot of things are said poetically. And so when the literal meaning doesn't apply, you have to think of the other possible meanings. So even in when you're studying Sanskrit Prakarana Granthas, like to introduce yourself to the Vedas, and Gurudev would say this very often. If the line on the page says the lion entered, and obviously a lion is not going to enter a room, but if the line on the page says the lion entered the room, it's referring to a person who they call as a lion, and maybe it's his nickname, or maybe he was majestic and fierce as a lion. And so you have to look for what the meaning was if the literal meaning doesn't apply. And so, I was Googling Ramayana on YouTube and Spotify and podcast and all of that as well to see what all is there available. And surprisingly, I thought there'd be a lot more available. Even just within the mission, I thought there'd be a lot more available. But not really. Of course, there's lots of summaries where you get the factual details, the story, and there's just that. Especially Diwali messages. And then, of course, there's lots of debates around Ramchandraji sending Sita Ji away. But like in terms of just enjoying the glory of, maybe I didn't search the right things, but I really did think there'd be a lot more. But one video that did turn up, no matter what I plugged in, was this video of somebody saying that the sun stood still for one whole month when Ramchandraji was born, and how this is, if scriptures say it, it's true. Now, I didn't listen to what she had to say about it. It was a 6-minute video because I thought I wanted to think about it myself first before I listened to any other interpretation. Because again, we can do this, not just me. All of us can do this. Sometimes when we hear something and we're not sure what it quite means, just sit with it. And it's like opening a door and then just watching to see what comes in. You don't have to figure it out, solve a problem. It's not like that. You have to just watch. So sun, of course, is light. And the Devata, the Surya Devata, is symbolic of our buddhi, our intelligence, and our ability to discriminate. And so sun representing that idea of having vision, having understanding, and clarity of thought. Even when we do Gayatri Mantra, even when Diwali with light being knowledge. It's a symbol that's quite universal. And then you may have already had this experience. Sometimes when we're in the presence of great saints and sages, there's our thinking rises, our awareness rises, and it's almost like we get upgraded into this more sattvic frame of mind. And then it lingers. You kind of stay in that beautiful sattvic state of mind for sometimes a day, sometimes a week, sometimes a month, 2 months, until vasanas come back with gusto. And then vasanas take over once again. And so to say that when Ram is born, so that Ram, and we're going to be seeing today, Ram representing so many different things, but definitely divinity, knowledge, truth, love, all those things that Ram represents. So when it's born in our heart, it stays, it lingers. And so the citizens of Ayodhya were in that upgraded sattvic state of mind for a month. And then vasanas attack again. Maybe some stayed longer, maybe some stayed shorter, but the idea is this sense of staying in that. And so remember, we celebrate Ram Navami every year. And he's born in our heart. We celebrate Janmashtami every year. The idea is for that feeling to be rekindled within us so that we can experience that sense of extended light without darkness creeping in. And that's really what it means. And so beautiful there. And there's this, of course, they named. Did I do the names last week? No. We can do the names quite elaborately. In fact, while we had a class on Ramayana, we did the names quite elaborately. And I was so convinced none of the kids would remember, but they surprised me sometimes. So around 6 days, 7 days after babies are born in our tradition, we do the chatti, and they are named, and always named by the Parohit, the Pandit, the Guru, because they actually see the personality and then give a name that's appropriate. And this is one of the things we learn from stories like of the Ramayana. How are we supposed to name ourselves or our kids? I'm saying ourselves because I know in the Sindhi tradition, the wife's name changes sometimes. Some don't, some do. But like how to choose a name? And it's hilarious, right? Because I'm sure I've spoken about this before. There was this Insta reel about, and it says 1950s, and the roll call is Mangesh Valeri, then Venkat Shivakumar, and then so beautiful, nice, and then in the 80s, and it became Asha, Vinita, then it came to like today, Sia, Mia, Dia, Kia. these are the names that are there today. And then even funnier, that is 2050, it will be I, U, In. I don't know why. I think it because it went from Mangeshwalari to. But I don't think the game is just to make it shorter. I think people are trying to make it more modern, more fashionable. But at the risk is the meaning. The way to name is the Pandits would see the character of the person, and then the name has to be the goal of the character that they have to live up to. So if in the chart of the person, they can see the person slightly anxious, and tends to like shy away from challenges, then they would give a name at like Abhay. Abhay means fearless, having courage. If they saw in the star, that the person is petty or can get very maybe moody, then they would give a name like Vimala, which means purity. So it's knowing where our flaws are, the name becomes the goal. Sure, most of us as adults are not going to change our name, but very often we constantly typing in all these passwords in different, to sign into anything, you have to type in all these passwords. You can create these as your password. The goal of the character, which you want to be able to reach, to overcome whatever shortcoming that you see within yourself. And you can use the English, you can use the Sanskrit, but to know that our name is a goal is such a nice way to see our name, because we already see our name as a summary of who we are. I remember when my nieces were born, my sister wanted Guruji to name them, and he did. And he gave fairly traditional names, and my brother-in-law was like, didn't like them at all. He did not like names that were given, but he was devoted enough to know that if Guruji gives the name, Guruji is given the name, and that's the name we're keeping, and there's just no choice in the matter. So he had, actually, I don't think he had much choice in the matter. My sister had decided that was that. But I remember at one point somebody was asking him, and I was overhearing the conversation, that, how did you just go along with it? I mean, they're your kids. It's their names. And you don't even like the name that Guruji chose for the girls. And he's like, well, when you meet people and then and you hear their name and you think that's unusual, or you think, that's a nice name. But after a while, they just that person. And the name is just who they are. And the name becomes the person. And it's true, right? Our name is just a summary of who we are. And sometimes we even say, oh, that's such and the name of the person, thing to do. And stop being, well, now they use that Karen. Literally, the name has become the quality time. Because not fair to everyone who's called Karen, but it really becomes a summary of who we are. But if the name is our goal, and we become a summary, the name becomes a summary of who we are. It's actually constantly uplifting us. Because it doesn't matter how courageous you are, you can be more courageous. It doesn't matter how pure you are, you can be more pure. It doesn't matter how patient you are, you can be more patient. I remember when Swamiji had explained this to me, us in a class setting, it wasn't me individually. Swamiji's brahmachari name was Sushil, which meant to speak sweetly. Yeah. And he really mastered it. Never heard him raise his voice. I've known him long, huh? And I've definitely had occasions where he could have raised it at me. But I mean, he'll do that stern look, but he and criticize or say something harsh. Never, never, never. In fact, he'll rely on me to do that. When we in the camps, like you go scold them. He doesn't scold. So Guruji named him, Gurudev named him. He totally owned the name. Till today he lives it. The name is also given sometimes based on what we already have, which is a strength, so that we continue to reinforce it. So based on the chart. So it's not always a floor and then let's fill the floor. Sometimes the name is your greatest strength, and make sure that you continue to work on it. And so it happens often in our personalities, right? We build on our strengths and we tend to ignore our weaknesses. So depending on the kind of character of the person and the chart and the life that they're going to kind of live, the guru figure would have that insight on the name that would be the best for them. Today, I don't know how they give the names. I know Pandits still do give names. And on what criteria they do, I'm not quite sure, but that's why they give them. And so, importance of names. So Ramchandraji's name basically means ocean of happiness. I'm taking a little liberty there. Literal translation is to revel. Ram means to revel. The word revel is such a nice word, huh? When do we revel? You have to be so happy. It has to be so nice that you're reveling in it, right? If the food is just okay, you don't revel. But if it's like so good, you really take the time to enjoy it. Yeah. Not so much with food, although today a lot with food also. Things like music. We definitely revel in music or humor. Right? Like revel means it plays. It lingers. The joy of it lingers. That's what Ram means. It's that happiness that kind of just so easy to slip into, and then it just lingers. Ram. The word Ram means to revel. So happiness. Basically, it's happiness. And then the Upanishads have given us, and the Ramayana too has given us indication of what we feel is just not happiness. We're just not happy enough, people. In the percentages of how much happiness we experience, our happiness is like a fraction of the happiness of somebody living in heaven. The like whole breakdown he's given of units of happiness. No. Our happiness is human happiness is just not comparable to heaven happiness. Fair, right? That's why we want to go to heaven. And then heaven happiness is less than Brahmaji's happiness, Brahmaji being creator. And then Brahmaji's happiness is an iota of the happiness that is wrong. That's how it's broken up. So what are we in the scheme of happiness here? Very minuscule. So what is wrong? It's happiness that is incomprehensible. I really like that it's happiness that is incomprehensible. Because if you can comprehend the happiness, it's limited already, right? It's already boxed in. So Ram's name means happiness. If you look at Ram's life, so much hardship, so much pain till today. Really, poor guy, till today, he still gets so much galis. Galis means insults. Till today. And we saw 2 classes ago, every second person's problem is, was he really God? So much doubt. People have so much doubt in him. Like, and he had to endure so much difficulties. Then he has to endure so much bad fame, bad publicity. That's right. He gets a lot of bad publicity. His name means happiness. Like, so contradictory. Krishna's name doesn't mean happiness. Krishna's name means to scrape. Huh? Yeah, don't look at me. I didn't give the meanings or the names. Ram's name means happiness. Isn't that interesting? There's a nice song. I think you did that when we did that Instagram. What was the one you did? I am blessed, even though I am a mess, right? But there's another song that's also very, of course, everyone's Instagram is different. It turns up on my feed very often. You guys have probably never heard it. It's, thank you for sunshine. Thank you for rain. Thank you for gain, I think it is. And thank you for pain. That's just the song. So thank you for sunshine. Thank you for rain. Thank you for gain. And thank you for pain. And Ram's name meaning happiness, even though his life is filled with so much challenge and pain, is just this encapsulated so beautifully with this idea of thank you for it. Because I can be happy even with pain. Or rather, I should say, I can be happy despite the pain. Swamiji gives the story very often of when he first went to Siddhabari when Siddhabari is being built. Now Siddhabari is very comfortable. Please come to Siddhabari when we go this year. It's super comfortable. This was in the 1970s when it was still being built. There were 7 people in a room. They didn't have hot water. They had to sleep on the floor. And nobody wanted to go home. There was so much discomfort that nobody wanted to go home. And we'll see that sometimes in Balihar camps also. The campsites are not, I mean, their parents take them on holiday to 5-star hotels. We take them to one, 8 kids in a room by the By the second day, the room is really, you can smell their socks, you can smell anything, very unpleasant. Kids don't want to go. Can we have camp for 3 days? Can we have camp for a week? Can we have, it will happen without fail, huh? Even the most grumpiest kid on the ride there, on the ride back is, by then I'm like, we can definitely not do camp for 3 days. Definitely not. I'm happy, you happy, and I'm really happy it's over. So that's just discomfort. That's not pain. But how many people go to the gym and then they pushing themselves, and then they're so happy the next day when their body's aching? I don't get it at all, huh? But they get really happy. You can be happy despite pain. Or these beauty routines that people do. So ouch, man, some of these beauty routines. And they're so happy because now they look so good. Really, it's how, if we can see that the pain serves a purpose, we're happy to endure it. You just have to know it's serving a purpose. Then we will. Okay, it's not happy like party happy, but be happy. Yeah, this, I have to go through it. This is what it is. Done. That's really Naam's life. Be happy. Doesn't matter how hard it is. So then Bharat name means nourisher of the earth. So the story, if you remember, was Mother Earth went to the Devatas to ask for relief. And then Bharat is given the name nourisher. So remember, all four of them are part of that one same avatar, nourisher of the earth, because you'll see that Bharat's seva, service, and love to Ram is so incredible. And what nourishes the earth is that when we have that love for reverence for divinity, when we're willing to serve divinity, when we're willing first acknowledge that this is divinity and give it that place of prominence. And then second, serve. And that's why Bharat's name means nourisher. But that's what nourishes the earth, and that's what nourishes us, because the more the earth is nourished, the more the earth nourishes us. And so Bharat's whole quality and is amazing. And so much strength, so much, and Bharat's really like the ideal devotee. Very, very hard to be like Bharat, because the sense of surrender, the sense of ability to endure. Bharat slept underground because Ramchandra was sleeping on the ground. Bharat dug a hole because he shouldn't sleep at the same level of Ram. He should sleep lower. To even think that, right? To even have that thought. He's sleeping on the ground. I can't just sleep on the ground. I should endure more than him because he's sleeping on the forest because of me. Well, he wasn't. It wasn't because of Bharat, but Bharat totally felt that way. But even to have that sense of just always staying, always ensuring that divinity is given the most highest place. Like that's nourishing the earth. Because if you have that sense, then even the way you treat the earth, even the way you treat everyone else, it's going to be so beautiful. So the Bharat's name means nourisher of the earth. And then Lakshman's name means abode of virtue. Going through it quickly now because I didn't realize I spent so long on Ram's name. Abode of virtue, well, he does have a lot of virtues. But the thing about Lakshman is that he's a little bit more relatable than Bharat. He slept on the floor. Like Ram sleeping there. Actually, no, he didn't. Sorry, I take that back. He didn't sleep. he refused to sleep. He asked Nidra Devi to give him a boon that he wouldn't sleep for 14 years because somebody had to stay awake to guard the home, the hut, wherever Sita ji and Ram were. So, but he sat on the floor and guarded. So yes, a board of virtues, right? That diligence, that consistency, that determination, that loyalty. You can see all of this in Lakshman. But you can also see a lot of dynamism in Lakshman. And in fact, Bharat was too. Bharat was incredibly dynamic because he ruled the kingdom for 14 years. It's not the first word that comes when you think of Bharat. Unfortunate that it's not the first word that comes because he was dynamic. But in Lakshman, you'll definitely say it because, Ramchandraji pulls out his bow and arrow, Lakshman pulls it out twice as much. Ramchandraji is constantly telling him, put it away. So this ever ready to fight is definitely Lakshman. In the Chinmaya mission pledge, ever ready to fight against all low tendencies and falsity. Lakshman can be our mascot for this ever ready to fight. Doesn't matter what you're fighting, ever ready to fight. No, it was always low tendencies. It was always false values. And when people were devout and he served them along with Ramchandraji. So you see that when Ramchandraji meets Guha in the forest, and then Guha is this very, very devoted friend, and Lakshman serves Guha the same way he serves Ramchandraji. So not that he was just always ready to fight. Definitely Seva Bhav was ingrained in Lakshman as much as it was in Bharat. And then Shatrughan's name means, well, literal translation of Shatrughan's name is enemy of pride, which is very a mouthful. So basically humility. And he's often described as Daso Dasa. Daso Das, yeah, correct. Means servant of the seventh. So sometimes to be the seventh is so much privilege. Yeah. Like we've had the helper party this weekend, which suddenly more and more people know about it because that's Hong Kong word of mouth, and then one person tells another person, and lots of people ringing and saying, "Is there still place? Is there still place? Can we send this one?" And it's interesting because somebody will want to get a place in it. This happened even with Kirtan, and this happens even with Bal Vihar camp. And then they'll suddenly ring one of my committee members, or they'll ring someone who they think is close to me, and they'll ask that person to get the spot for them. And I'm always amused by it because really, really, do they really think ashram's going to play favorites? But they do. They think if this person's asked me, I'll say yes. And if they ask me, I won't say no. But if this person asks me, I'll say yes. Why? Because this person does lots of seva for the ashram. So glory. There's glory, right? In doing seva. It doesn't work, huh? I say no to everybody. In fact, the closer they are to me, the quicker I say no. Because I can. People don't realize that. Whereas to serve somebody who is serving, you're not noticed. The one who is serving gets noticed. You see them fussing around. There is glory. Shatrughan served those who served. So humility. Shatrughan's, the entire Ramayana is like, I'm slightly exaggerating, but not really. It's maybe like 10 lines written about him. Like really humility here. Really not getting any limelight whatsoever. And to see that as a manifestation of divinity. Please remember, all 4 of them are avatars, which means this is how God manifests on earth. How does God manifest on earth? Humility. How cool is that? And we see it in Krishna too. We don't see it obviously in Krishna. But if you remember the Mahabharata, how he looked after the horses, how he took orders from Arjuna. We saw, there were moments where we saw he didn't even make, I mean, you can't. If you make a show of humility, it's not humility. And so often the Balvihar kids will ask me, have you seen God? I have. So many people who have worked so humbly, not even wanting. Sometimes people are shy of recognition. They're literally scared of recognition. Like they're allergic to it. That's not humility. Humility is when you're good, you're in the limelight plenty, like Krishna, but you can also just do away with it. Again, something I see in Swamiji very often. Again, something people wouldn't necessarily be the first way of describing Swamiji, but very often you see how he'll just hand over glory. Literally just hand it over. So easily. So the sons were named Earth, Sky, and Moon. And there was one more incident. But I was thinking about the symbolism here with the brothers and their names. And Ramchandraji is very much Jnana Yoga, is often symbolized as Jnana Yoga. And even it's written, and early as in childhood, it's written that when anybody had any questions, they would go to Ramchandraji and ask him, and he'd explain it to them. Please note, they have 2 gurus in the palace, but everyone would still go to Ram. I mean, the brothers especially would go to Ramchandraji and would get clarified. Bharat very much represents Bhakti Yoga, and that sense of surrender and that sense of praising. And Lakshman and Shatrughan represents Karma Yoga, that doing, that seva bhav. So Bharat did serve, please note, Bharat did serve. Bharat did everything that all the other brothers do as well, but more the bhakti, because, and you'll even see, whether it's Valmiki Ramayana or Tulsi Ramayana, the tears flow so easily from Bharat's eyes, you know? That the heart is so open that there's no if he has to just say Ram's name, then the tears will come. It's really that sense of devotion in Bharat. So we have coming up in January this year another challenge. We have a wellness challenge, which the flyer went out last. Oh, you're all nodding. Such nice people. You'll see my messages. The number of people that don't see ashram messages, it's just spam. So I have to talk about it. So every year we try and do a challenge, and then when I leave it up to most people to do it, then they end up not doing much. But when there's something specific to do, then it's nice, right? So we're giving the chart ahead of time, and we're going to help people, and maybe I'll give a second option with both. But most things are easily doable. So the first one on January 2nd is reply your Happy New Year messages. Sometimes we just don't get around to it, right? Or we just do smiley. Oh, if you like me, smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. Like, actually reply. Like, thank you, Anil, for thinking of me. Like, reply. Looking forward to spending more time with you in the new year. Like, reply something. Be personable, because actually so much of well-being is human connection, which is a focus on this well-being challenge. Then day 2 was, what was day 2? Starting gratitude buddy. So for 1 week, you'll have a gratitude buddy who you WhatsApp what you're grateful for 3 things a day. And I think that was part of the gratitude channel, and it was one of the feedbacks that I got that people really, really loved that one. So we're going to do that one again. Day 3, start a new book, which I'll tell you on day 2, 1. But please start thinking which book you want to read, because you have to start the book on day 3. It can be a small book. It doesn't have to be a big book. Nice to actually do something intelligent. Day 4 was do a new exercise, right? Day 6 is to do this affirmation ritual. So there's some very cool affirmation songs already out there. And I was thinking, should I just use those? Shouldn't I use those? And then eventually, of course, because I won't be able to sleep when all these ideas get put in my head. So I wrote affirmation song for the ritual, which we're going to do now. Why? Because it was inspired by Ramchandraji and Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Okay, so first we're going to do the song. You're going to have to do it with me. Okay, so I'll say the lines. I'm going to say 4 lines, and you're going to do it with me. I am happiness, I am love, I am fearless, I am free. I am happiness, I am love, I am fearless, I am free. One more time. Was that enough? One more time. Ready? I am happiness, I am love, I am fearless, I am free. Happiness, I am love, I am fearless, I am free. All those are Upanishadic statements. Those are all straight out of the Upanishads of what we are as Brahman. Now this is Jnana Yoga. I am wise, I am witty, I am clear in my thinking, I am pure in my feelings. I am wise, I am witty, I am clear in my thinking, I am pure in my feelings. Then this bit is Karma Yoga. I am dynamic, I am patient, I am persistent, I am resilient. I am dynamic, I am patient, I am persistent, I am resilient. We'll just finish this and then I'll explain it. Last one is Bhakti Yoga. I am selfless, I am giving, I surrender to the higher, I accept all its power. I am selfless, I am giving, I surrender to the higher, I accept all its power. So, first one, Ramchandraji, wise, clear thinking. Okay. Second one, Lakshman, dynamic, but also very patient. Okay. Dynamic doesn't mean you charge ahead. Very important to have that patient part when we're working. Right? Like anything you do, like even decorating a cake. So much patience coming up with these affirmations. So much patience. Although I haven't edited them. I probably could do editing, but I don't think there's enough time. And then I have seen so many affirmation songs. Very few will have this sense of surrender and selfless. Because usually when people write affirmations, they want to become something. Rich, I'm wealthy, I'm successful. Selfless. Really, let's become selfless. So, making choices, we saw today, name, making it a goal. But also, what were we talking about? Yeah, their names, making it our goal. And if our name isn't so amazing that we can't live up to, then we can live up to their names. Right? Because we didn't get a choice in what we were named. So we can live up to their names. And then there was one more story of Ramchandraji as a kid, which we will do, and then we can move to, he grows up. He grows up very fast. He goes from baby to 16. So then the next story is when he's 16, which I think I already touched on last week. He goes to Vishwamitra. No, I didn't talk. Because I'm doing it in Balvihar also. I'm getting confused when I'm doing one. Okay, yeah. There's this very cool scene where Yashoda, Kaushalya Maya put Ramchandraji down. He's still very young. Maybe crawling age. In the cot or in the crib or whatever it is. She went to go get him food. When she comes back, he's gone. So screaming, shouting, where are you? Where are you? And then she finds him at the altar. So before she starts her morning every day with waking up, doing puja. Part of puja is you give prasad. They would give whatever was being eaten in that day, they would give a little bit of everything. Many households still do this. It gets cooked and a small teaspoon gets put at the altar first, and then it's eaten by everybody else in the family. So it's a palace, so you can imagine how much is being cooked. A little bit of everything still becomes quite a meal. So where does she find him? She's at the altar and he's eating the prasad. Why? Because it was offered to him. When we do puja, when we give prasad, who are we offering it to, right? And he's come and he's here, he's in the palace, that's his mom who's offered it. So she's eating, like, she went to go get food, but you already gave it to me. So she's a little bit surprised, startled, shocked, whatever, and she's looking at him and she's thinking, what are you doing? And so he opens his mouth to show, and it's exactly the Krishna story. She sees the universes and the galaxies and everything in his mouth. And then she sees earth and she sees the palace and she sees him in the palace eating the food, opening his mouth with her watching. And inside that mouth is universes and galaxies and planets. And so continuing. And then same as Yashoda Maya, she gets very dizzy. When you see the entire universe inside your baby's mouth, it's a little bit disorientating. It's like, what's going on here? Even though she remembers, right? She remembers that this is Bhagwan that has taken avatar. So he quickly becomes 4 hands, Chatur Bhuja, with Shankha Chakra Gada Padma holding the conch, the disc, the God Vishnu's face with the crown. In baby form only, but full Vishnu room. And then she's like, oh, little bit comes down. And then she knits her brows, like, you're not supposed to do this. And then he becomes baby Ram again. But the reason, we know the story of Krishna, and I need not have gone into it because it's the same story. But here, what's really nice is when we offer things to Bhagavan, we don't necessarily realize he takes it. Because the Naivedyam is left here, like every time we do puja, and it's still there, right? And so puja is over, I can eat prasad. Most of the kids, that's what they do. I had explained once to one family that only after you offer it, you can eat it. So the step in the puja came where you offered it. And the puja was still going, and he's looking at me and he's like, but it's offered now. And I eat it down. I know. The puja's still going. You said after we offer it, it's offered. It's not even offered then, is it? Like, are we really offering it? And then if we do, because many people do, with a lot of dil, they will offer. Do we understand that he's accepted? Now, with the food in the prasad, in the puja, of course, it's very nice. We should definitely apply it to the food and the fruit and all of that we're doing. But we taught again and again that what we should be offering is our thoughts, our love, our efforts, our weaknesses, right? Everything we do, Krishna Arpanam. We taught everything, offer everything. And then, but we don't really feel he's taken it because we still feel it's mine. I'm still busy doing. Didn't I say Krishna Arpanam? Now, isn't it his? No. I did it. And I'm not saying it in a proud way. Sometimes it's a mistake. I mucked up. And then Krishna Arpanam. Bhagwan, please help me, guide me, forgive me. And then something happens. No, I really mucked up. We get so stuck, right? Like, but it's given. Like, I'm meant to move on. I've already given it. If something's no longer mine, I don't hold on to it. It's gone. So this idea that he never ate the food she brought from the kitchen. Day after day after day, after this incident happens, he eats what's offered at the puja. Because he's taken avatar, he can actually physically come and eat it. And I just thought that was just such a sweet thing. And also our way of understanding. When she can't understand the vastness, because Krishna doesn't do this. When Krishna opens his mouth and Yashoda Maya gets dizzy, he smiles and she just forgets the whole incident. But with Kaushalya Mata, because she's a Jnani, Jnani means she's studied the scriptures and she's very intelligent. Very, very, very intelligent. He doesn't make her forget. When she's a little bit overwhelmed, he changes to a grosser form. So Bhagwan's true nature is the vastness of infinity. And when the devotee is struggling to comprehend the vastness of infinity, he takes a form we can comprehend. He became the form of Lord Vishnu, which she's seen so many times in pictures, in calendar art. She knows this form. She's fine again. This she can handle. Yeah. All of infinity, way too much. Me inside you, in your mouth, in the planet, way too much. I can't handle that. Okay. I'll take the form you can. Again, so loving that Bhagwan will do this for us. Like, why did Ram come to Earth? It's a form we can understand. A man, a prince, a son, a friend, a husband, a son. He said son. Father. Something we can relate to. Something we can understand. Galaxies upon galaxies upon galaxies. Then how does that influence my life? I wake up in the morning, need coffee. He might be galaxies over galaxies over galaxies. But what about this? Whereas here, before you have your coffee, offer it. So nice then, huh? That's also very interesting. I've seen so many households where they still practice this. Every morning, prasad is made and kept. Nobody ever puts tea or coffee for Bhagwan. It's a vice. But if you had to offer it, would you still have it? Interesting, isn't it? In some places in Calcutta, they offer even alcohol. Why? Because we're drinking it often. How you see it. It's how you see it. But please note this. He'll accept. So be careful what you give. Because here it's very, very, very clear that he will accept. So now with this section of the Leela of his childhood comes to an. I mentioned already with Kakushandiya how he used to play. There's lots of stories that he used to play with the birds, play with sand. A lot of stories of him playing with sand and with water. Catching the moon story is very famous. Have you heard this one? No? You've heard it because we do it in Shishaviha. So one day he's crying. Who's crying? Ramchandraji. Why? Because remember Mother Kaushalya said she had to behave like a baby. And then why are you crying? Because I want the moon. Then we see things we wanted, right? Kids, that's what they do. So somebody else has toy, they want that toy only. You've seen, right? So now when they're living in the palace, he had anything he wanted, they would give him. But he looks up into the sky and he sees this beautiful shining moon in the sky and he wants that. So now how to give him the moon? So there was more running around in the palace. Now what to do? He's crying. Why he's crying? He wants the moon. I told you, Kaushalya Maya is very, very intelligent. She takes a thali, English thali, plate that is raised. It's a dish. It's not a dish. It doesn't have an English word. It doesn't have an English word, but it has a edge. Yeah, it has a rim. Rim is the right word. Yeah. Then she puts, because it's wide and round. She fills it with water, and she puts it on the ground, and the moon is reflected in the water. And she tells him, "Here you go, your moon." And he would try and catch it. And of course, you can't catch water. So he was thoroughly entertained for a significant period of time, which with kids is really, really good. Leave them there to be entertained. For the longer, the better. Otherwise, they're going to start crying again. And again, all the servants of the palace have to run around. But I think that story is more about, again, symbolism, right? Sun stopping in the sky when Ramchandraji was born is our elevated state of sattva lingering. And then him wanting the moon is the devata for our mind. And the mind is the seat of emotions. And the mind is also the seat of all our virtues. And even though the intellect understands the virtues, it's the mind that either cooperates or doesn't cooperate. And so the moon is the devata of the mind. And so what does he want? He wants our mind. We just finished chapter 9 of the Gita in the morning classes also. Last verse of chapter 9 is Man mano mana mad bhaktaha. Give me your mind. So it's just a story. Baby Ramchandraji crying for the moon. It's just a story. But the moon represents our mind. What does Bhagwan want? Our minds, our love. Really, all that everyone says. Love. So then, next chapter is Vishwamitra coming and him going off into the forest. So I think we'll see that next week. There is class next week. Next week will be the last class for the year. At least he's a teenager. We move further from him born. He's already eating, crawling, playing. We made progress. Any questions? Please sign up for the wellness challenge. You'll sign up. How to sign up? On the phone. Just reply to the phone. No questions? No stand-up comedy for you all today. But we did a song. Huh? With a message sentence. Yeah, it'll be part of the wellness chat. It will go out with hopefully background guitar music. Hopefully. If the kid cooperates. If the kid doesn't cooperate, you'll just get my voice. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukhapat bhave, asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti, Shanti, Hari Om, Shri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.